All right, your turn.
All right. Let's see how I do here.
Pretty good, pretty good. All right, let's see if Peg will... Oh, sorry, Janine.
I'm an amateur.
I hope that I don't, like, drop this cap like a flat rock like that last time.
I like that sound.
That was better.
That's good. That's good.
All right, you guys. I did a lot of note-taking. I did a lot of looking up actors' names online. But I did nary any preparation of bit. So today, there's no Allison. It's me and Jen and Janine. And
It's the 3 J's.
It's the 3 J's. I've got nothing. Jen, do you have anything?
I do find it odd how often I am surrounded by people whose names start with J. This tends to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I have lots of Jeffs, Johns, Julies, Janines in my life.
Yeah.
You have a Jada.
I have a Jada. It's true.
Sophie, you're not supposed to be up here. Well, at least not on the table.
Sophie.
Hey,
Sophie,
you're blocking my mic.
Sophie's parents were out of town for a few days, so Sophie's still a little starved for affection.
She is extra fucking needy, as if she wasn't already needy as hell. Now you guys are probably going to hear her a lot today because she's been screaming.
You know, I had a rough evening, Sophie, so I appreciate this. This is actually nice.
No, Sophie, no. Oh God, she's in the podcast now. She's literally on my kitchen table.
She's gonna get a mic
hi,
next.
Sweetheart.
She's just checking things out. It's all good, Sophie.
She's like, you left me alone.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna rub my butt all over Jen's microphone.
Would you like some beer? No, I would like for you to pet me and worship me. Meow. Oh my God, what a bitch. Okay.
Like a coconut?
No bitch. Yes. And with that, welcome to Podlander Drunkcast and Outlander Podcast. I am Julie Starbird.
I am Jen Moniz.
And I'm Janine. Hey.
Hey. So, as you notice, Allison Shoemaker. Yeah, get out of there. Allison Shoemaker is not with us this week. She is busy with her job reviewing movies. She had to go to a screener tonight, so she was unavailable to talk about Outlander Season 3, Episode 11, Uncharted. So we're going to try to do our best without her.
We'll muddle through, I think.
We'll muddle through. We'll lash ourselves to some empty barrels and float into the island. That's what we'll do.
God, the amount of trust with that'd scare the shit out of me.
Okay, so
Jeez.
We all remember at the end of the last episode, awesome Annika told Claire to take a jump. And this episode opens with, the title card. I forgot. It's the turtle. Now, you guys know I'm not a book reader, but I want everybody to know that I knew that turtle soup had something to do with something. So I see the turtle and I'm like, oh, this is whatever turtle soup is. Mm-hmm. So I found that out at the end, but they were going to name the episode Turtle Soup, but they decided not to because they knew it was too big of a hint. So Claire's on the barrels. She's floating into the island. It's bad. She fell asleep. First of all, is anybody scared of sharks? Because
this was my first thought. I was like, why are you sleeping? Sharks, Jaws.
No
Jaws.
Shit. I'm like, your legs are just freely floating and your hands are skirts. You fucking look like a seal, just like people on top of surfboards look, and that's why sharks attack them because they think they're a seal. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
I have a legit fear of sharks, but when I was in the Galapagos scuba diving, I made it a point to be the last person out of the water, and I was with 10 sharks by myself. I'm still fucking afraid of them, but at least I did that and I peed on them.
Hell no, I'm not doing that.
That'll show them.
Yeah, that'll show them. I carry no truck with sharks, so I'm thinking, Claire, come on, wake up. And then a wave wakes her up by knocking her off of her raft.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she's underwater. She's struggling. She rights herself. She crawls onto the island in her shaft. Luckily, the raft floats up too with all of her bat skirt and everything with it. So,
did she have the bat skirt with her?
She did. Yeah. Annika was smart and made her wrap all her shit in the bat skirt. So, like her shoes and I think her bag that she'd been carrying, which I assume is carrying all the tampons and medical supplies.
Oh, her bum pillow.
No, the bum pillow is separate. I'm making a joke about the medical bag, but I think like the medical supplies and all that shit, maybe. Because they come back later, so she had to have had them with her. But yeah, so Annika was smart and had her wrap all that up. So it's all wet, but this is when Claire like lays everything out to dry.
Yeah, just when she laid everything out, I didn't see the bat skirt.
I was nervous about the medical kit, but because it comes back later, I know she has it.
Yeah, I was concerned she left it on the ship with the undeserving Englishman.
You know, if she did, it would be kind of in character for her, since she's the shittiest time traveler that ever traveled time.
Seriously.
Like, don't fucking leave penicillin on the Artemis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't think it needed, so I left it here.
Annika really wanted me to go, man. So I went, man. All right. So she gets onto the island. Let me start consulting my notes now. Oh, I forgot to mention at the top of this episode, it did promise strong sexual content.
Yes.
I was going to say, I took notes since I knew I was going to be, and it is the first thing that I wrote.
It is the first note.
On both of ours. I saw it. I was like, oh, Julie's going to be excited.
Strong sexual content. 3 exclamation points.
Yeah, she was excited.
Oh, I'm very excited. I obviously experienced this through you, which is fun.
You'll enjoy this when we get there. The episode has to go through several tonal shifts in order to get to the strong sexual content.
Like some weird ass shit we're about to talk about.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff on the journey to boning.
Because we've already, like right now we're starting at Castaway.
We are.
Yes,
we are starting at Castaway. So she swims ashore. I have a note that says minus raft, but with clothes bundle? ? So note that both of our concerns were there. And then I just wrote nice beach.
It is a nice beach.
It's very pretty.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's the kind of beach that Neil and I pay a lot of money to go lay on for a week while we drink beer. You know, it's like white, sandy. The water is all kind of aquamarine and lovely, but it feels uninhabited. She's a woman alone with a bundle of penicillin.
And apparently no sunscreen in any of those pockets, because almost the first thing I thought, I was like, oh, your pale ass.
Pale ass bitch.
Cook in this sun.
Gonna crisp up.
Yeah.
So she says she has a dumbass voiceover, which after last episode, you guys, I am over the voiceover. I understand why they had it here because she is alone, but couldn't.
I feel like that was a convention that was used a lot because like there is a lot of internal monologue.
Yeah.
And does it is it getting worse as time goes on?
It just feels.
Well, the part that Allison decreed a survivalist Barbie.
Yeah.
Because I watched the episode with Allison, and she decreed the first section was the Adventures of Survivalist Barbie.
Yes.
And it's 20 minutes before Claire encounters another human.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Of 20 minutes of screen time. And yes, so in that time, we are treated to some voiceover.
The first of which is maybe kind of important because she says, I'm put in mind of the 3 R's. Or the rule of 3s, that's what it is. Humans can survive 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So we're like, all right, so it's going to be her wandering around with no water. And then she starts licking leaves.
Yeah, she's rain, water, and a couple of leaves. But yeah, we're basically just counting down 3 days watching this happen.
It's bad. She's wandering through the jungle, and I thought to myself...
Day 1 is about drying off the clothes and putting together a really spectacular Castaway ensemble.
Yeah, she gets it together.
She looks awesome.
She gets the bat skirt back on, but she pulls it up so that she has more free movement of her legs, and then she gets the... she wraps her head, right? Or does that come later when she gets more in the sun?
No, she wraps her head pretty much immediately, yeah.
All right, so she's ready to trek across this, as she thinks, uninhabited island, whatever. And Jen's right. It's 20 minutes of her just seeing the worst that nature has to offer.
Yeah. She's going along. Eventually she decides to kind of plant and make a fire. While she struggles with it for approximately 60 seconds, it is not a Tom Hanks and Castaway level of, we both called out that I have made fire scene with Tom Hanks, where it's like, they made you watch him struggle with that for like 4.5 minutes before he finally got that fire to work.
Yeah, no, Claire right away realizes that the secret to her fire success is in her bum roll, and that is that flammable polyester fill.
Oh, shit.
She pulls that out, and she's like, yeah, she's got the rocks, she's trying to get the kindling to go, and she's like,
Fuck this.
Fuck this.
Bum roll.
The whole bum roll goes in the fire a few minutes
She
later.
pulls out all the fluff and then it catches fire immediately.
And she falls asleep next to a nice fire, and we get our first morning wake up on this island. Which
Ants!
Fire ants!
Oh, shit.
All over.
Covering
Cheers.
her legs.
Cheers.
Oh,
Yeah, for
shit.
sure.
Ants all over her. It is
Oh my god.
she's really
been
gross.
Oh
bitten to
god.
hell.
Fuck that. No, I've been in the South. That fucking's horrible.
Oh yeah, she's bitten all over, and I'm going to have a couple of lines in here that were again Allison Shoemaker contributions because she's going to be with us.
TM.
And you know what she needs is a good fire crutch.
Oh no. You know what? I bet she has one.
Yeah.
Let's just say if she woke up and they were all down there, at least one made it to the Holy
Yeah,
Grail.
seriously.
Jeez. Oh,
But
god.
basically, the damage at least appears to be limited to the calves.
Mostly her beneath her knees.
Yeah, beneath the knees. And so she takes some fabric and kind of, I don't know what you call it when you're dressing like that, where it looks like,
It's almost just like a bandage. I think it's basically to try to keep her from scratching at it or worrying at
but
it.
the way she wraps it, it's almost like the way
Tourniquet-ish.
Yeah, but like the way ballerinas will lace up their shoes, where it like kind of wraps around the leg in a crisscrossy pattern.
They do that because of the Boy Scout, Eagle Scout books. They do that because of the curvature of the leg, so it actually holds together more closely versus like just a flat thing, which would actually like link off. So
So that's what she does. She does it up like that, nice and tight.
because she's a badass doctor.
But she's still bitten to all heaven and still scratching herself as she walks.
I forgot one thing.
Yeah.
When she's leaf licking and turning the bat skirt into a sunshade, which was a smart idea.
It was a smart idea.
She has a moment where she touches Frank's wedding ring, and I thought, doesn't seem so bad now, eh?
Yeah.
Oh.
I hadn't noticed that she was still wearing both rings until this episode. There were many moments where we saw that she still had Frank's ring on.
And this one was a, like, long, lingering stare at Frank Ring.
Yeah.
Like, why did I...
What the hell was I thinking?
I know he was dead already, but damn.
Yeah.
All those years could have been better.
Just like, yeah, I mean, I would have been dickless in Boston, but I would not be half-eaten by fire.
I would not be in this situation.
Yes.
Which sucks.
Yes.
So she's trudging along through the jungle, and I have a note here, and it's my true belief. Jungle Lost is the worst Lost. I know that being lost in the desert really sucks. But like Jungle Lost, there's something about it. You can't see things. There's animals everywhere. There's bugs everywhere.
Yeah.
The insect thing really gets me.
Yeah, the insects and all of the stuff, and they're definitely selling. They actually did show her getting more and more red and freckled and burnt.
She's getting
in the sun.
burnt
She's
ass.
getting very burnt. They were doing lots of lens flares and lots of those heat shimmers on the screen. So definitely selling the fact that she's quickly
Hot as
getting
hell.
dehydrated in this also.
And I noticed that it sounded like, and maybe this was me putting something on it,
Yeah.
which I do a lot. But it sounded like there was something breathing in the background. Like just a little
Interesting.
That's mortality.
in the background. And I'm like, oh, God, okay.
She did at one point find a tree with she found coconuts on the ground.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, thank God.
They were all already broken.
Empty.
She looks up and just sees those not ripe yet coconuts way at the top, and she's just like, oh, fuck it. I appreciated the fact that we were not treated to a scene of cliffs. I was just
Trying to climb that tree.
trying
To do that thing where she puts her feet on either side. And like,
Yeah.
she would never figure that out.
No, I know. She responded exactly the way I did, which is, oh, fuck
No.
it.
I'm just going to keep moving.
Keep walking.
I'm going to forget about these
Because
coconuts.
that moment you go like, I got it. Now what? Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a note that said, let it rain. And then I wrote, nope. And I don't know if there was something that made me think it was going to rain or whatever, but it sure didn't. She's dry as hell.
No, but this was also apparently in honor of Miss Shoemaker in the books.
Good job.
There is there was a section where she saw like animals and stuff sort of running, like moving all in the same direction, and a huge storm came in, and apparently she climbed a tree and like hid in the tree
While it
from
rained.
the storm, and Allison thought it lacked credibility.
Well, I mean, that's actually putting you closer to the storm.
I don't
than the
understand
ground.
why she would be up the tree. But
Well, out of the way
it
of
was
the
like,
animals.
Yeah,
Like if
the
animals
animals.
are running
or
past
also,
her.
I guess, if it's crazy, if it's enough rain that it's like flash flooding the area, you want to get
Well,
up.
because if it's swampy, I guess that could be a thing.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Actually, the soil in most jungles is super shitty.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight, and there's like just evergreen all the time, so there's not a lot of like, falling leaves and dying stuff to build more soil.
At one point, she comes across the skeleton of like a crocodile.
Yes, and you're like, "Where's the water?"
Yeah.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
No, and it's also sort of like, man, he didn't survive out here. I don't know how much chance you got.
Nope. And then she goes to sleep. I don't know if we see her build another fire. No, she sits against a tree. She's just like, she's given up.
Yeah. She doesn't build another fire. She sits there. And then this is the one moment in the episode that I actually, like, the fire ants made me yelp, but I screeched at the wake up of her on day 3.
She woke up, her eyes open, and there was a python just crawling across her chest. Like we're talking like an 8-foot long
and it's
snake.
literally like between her boobs and her chin, like this
right
snake
here.
is. And they showed in the little behind the scenes thing at the end that apparently Catriona Balfe loved this snake.
They got along really well. I think his name was Spike.
Scar. She said actually because she said. People ask me, who's your favorite co-star, Scar or Sam Heughan? And it's Scar. She just like had the snake all wrapped around her. She's like, yeah.
But she had to, Claire in the show had to stop her reaction and just lay there.
She just lay very still while this thing slowly
just
crawled
slithered
across her. It took like a solid minute for this thing to finish slithering across her and then go off into the jungle.
Jeez.
My only note on that is, hell no.
All I wrote was snake in all capital letters with exclamation points. Yeah. That was the entirety of the note.
Hell no.
In that moment.
But the snake,
I would not have kept my shit together as well as Claire did. I give her credit for staying calm. I would have just screamed.
Bad time traveler, great jungle adventure.
Well, not really. I think that we are maybe, I don't know if, once again, I'm putting the shit on there, dude. But it looks like the snake may have eaten recently because we see kind of a fat part, but maybe I'm making that up. Maybe he's not hungry and he just thinks she's another white ass rock.
pretty white.
Screw this. Well, I mean, he can tell she's hot, not beautiful hot, but like temperature hot.
I know what you meant. Yeah.
I actually needed that.
Yeah, but he has no interest.
It's a pretty hot day out. She may not be any hotter than the surface of any of the rocks
Than a rock wearing a skirt. Whatever. Yeah. So Snake goes past. She wakes up. She continues walking. Her legs are fucked. They show a close up of her legs, and there are all these big red, angry welts like everywhere on her legs.
She's clearly been scratching. They're bleeding.
Oh,
It's not good.
It's horrible. And then that's when we see the crocodile skeleton, and I said, "Water?" Because I thought maybe there's water nearby. And then I wrote, "Damn, I'm thirsty." So that's probably when I got up and got a drink. And then she falls right into the movie The Mission, starring Robert De Niro.
Oh, we've changed. Oh, this is good.
Yes. Wait, this is abrupt tonal shift number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just really abrupt.
Yeah. Which is what is the first sight? Does she see a goat?
I think I don't know if she sees a goat or she sees the dog first.
Oh, that's right, the dog.
Ludo, Luda, because every time I heard his name, I thought Luda Chris. And I was like, roll out! But that dog never rapped for me.
Didn't work for you? No. So she passes out and comes to tied to a bed.
Tied down. Hands tied down, legs tied down.
Which just...
No.
Wait, are we not talking the Stephen King movie?
Gerald's Game. No.
Not Gerald's Game. No, that's a different shift. When I was the one where she breaks his leg?
Oh, that's Misery.
Misery.
Yes, they do have some things in common. The thing in Misery is, though, he's only tied by his hands.
Oh, okay.
In Gerald's Game. No, in Gerald's Game, it's only hands, too, isn't it? Because aren't her feet free?
I think her feet are free. But,
we've gone with the Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro.
It's the trope of a woman waking up tied to something.
Yeah.
It's never awesome.
Yeah.
No.
And I think somebody either on our Slack channel or on the Slack channel or on Twitter pointed out that there's been a lot of sexual assault on this show. So when the first image you see is Claire tied to a bed, you're like, the brain goes, no,
that's going to be bad.
No, please. But instead of a potential sexual assailant coming in, what we get is Mamacita.
Kind of an older, middle-aged Latina woman, just like with her hair up in a thing. She's going through Claire's clothes. Claire wakes up. She turns around. Claire asks for the water because there's a little thing of water, and Mamacita feeds her the water a little bit so she doesn't drink too much. And then Mamacita goes over and starts kind of like touching her clothes, and she sees the zipper.
I thought that was very, very curious because I was waiting for that to come back.
And it never did.
It never did. Because Mamacita was really looking at the zipper and being like,
what is this KS? KS esto.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and then she takes off the clothes and disappears. Mm-hmm. And then shortly thereafter,
in walks Father Fogden.
Fogden, indeed.
Has anyone ever been named more appropriately?
No, never.
He is floating around in a fog of pot smoke. I'm not kidding.
She literally found one stoner priest on this island.
He is always stoned and fucked up and weird. And at first you really don't know how to read him because he seems friendly, but there's a little something behind his eyes that's not quite
creepy,
right.
And you're not quite sure where the creepy is.
Yeah. Maybe he mellowed himself out so the creep doesn't come out too far.
It takes a little while for you to really get a
it mellows out, but he explains where they are. They're in the Hacienda de la Fuenta, which I guess is in Hispaniola. Is that what he said? Yeah. The island of Hispaniola, which now is the Dominican Republic.
I think so.
I'm not certain.
Yeah.
But I guess he started a mission there, and it seems to have kind of fizzled out. Maybe because he's busy smoking yuba all day and not taking the word to the locals.
Yes, and they said in the little special features thing at the end that one of the producers was adamant that they stick to one thing in the book, which is that he has a flock of sheep.
Right.
Him and his flock. The only people he preaches to are his sheep. But they couldn't find any sheep in South Africa, so they had to use goats instead.
Instead, he had goats, so they kind of backed away from that whole flock situation. But he did have a relationship, not sexual, but definitely emotional relationship with his goats, which we'll get to later.
Yes, definitely an emotional relationship with his goats. I feel like the only sexual relationship that he probably was having was with that coconut.
Maybe, or definitely his dead wife.
No.
Oh, hold on. She's not kidding.
No.
Okay.
No. The third major character in this little drama, we have Mamacita, we have Father Fogden, and shortly thereafter we meet Coco.
Which is actually a coconut that Father Fogden talks to, like Wilson in Castaway.
Jesus Christ. Here I am joking around about shit.
No.
And it's got a little mohawk, sort of.
It's maybe almost like he gave it a haircut.
Yeah,
that's because that was on the Instagram feed when Allison sang Moana.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're welcome.
And and here is another line from Miss Shoemaker. There is totally a hole in the bottom of that coconut.
Oh.
He says, like, she wants more water, and he goes, you shouldn't drink too much too quickly. And she's all like, I know, I'm a doctor. And for the 40,000th time on this show, we get a woman doctor.
Yes, from the colonies, it's more common there.
Yes, from the colonies. And so he says that her coming is a sign, a good omen. A new goat was born that morning.
Yeah, like she arrived and a new goat was born, and it's a blessing that she's there.
He refers to her as Saint Bridget, which I guess has something to do with nurturing and health care, like helping. I don't know.
I didn't go to Catholic school. I don't know anything.
I don't know either. Saints. And then he says, what do you think, Coco? Turns around and picks up that fucking coconut.
And
is
the
it
coconut
just like
seems
on the shelf?
Yeah, just like on a little shelf.
Oh, okay.
And I just wrote, Coco, what? Talking coconut.
Yeah, indeed.
Because that's what it is.
Yes. It does. It's not just something that he speaks to. Coco also replies back. Coco seemed like she had a little bit of an attitude.
He has full conversations with the coconut.
As in, like, both sides?
No, he hears Coco. We don't hear Coco.
But Coco said something untoward about Claire, I think, or at least suspicious.
And he's like, oh, Coco, don't be rude.
Oh, my God.
That kind of shit. Yes.
So that's our first, like, okay, we're getting a sense of exactly how creepy this dude is now.
I'm thinking about the casting for that character and just that actor going, wait a second. So I get to
do what?
I get to do what? I get to have my own Horatio.
Speaking of, his name, Father Fogden's name is Nick Fletcher, I believe. I wrote it down. Nick
Fletcher, indeed.
Because it took me a long time to find his name on the internet because, as Allison has discovered, they don't release the cast lists for these episodes right afterwards. I don't know why.
Oh, no.
I had to find some third-party website that that put the cast up. But anyway, Nick Fletcher.
Guys, you're making it hard on us.
Buen trabajo, buddy. So, and then I wrote, because he's talking to a coconut.
Yes, indeed.
And then I wrote, wait, maybe you can wear my dead wife's clothes.
And I believe that's the first time that we get, because we had seen Mamacita, who came in and was clearly, all about business with Claire. She doesn't speak any English, or very little English, at least. I think the only English word we actually hear her say is whore.
Yeah, she saves that one for Claire and uses it several times.
Yes,
that's fun.
But
he says, well, you'll need some clothing while yours dries, because Mamacita is busy washing her clothes for her already. And perhaps you can wear some of something Hilda. I can't remember. Ermina Hilda.
It was a complicated name. Yeah,
it was like Ermina Hilda or something. So that was his wife. And then Mamacita turns around and in Spanish says, her clothes are far too small for that cow.
Yeah.
And I said, sick burn, Mamacita.
Oh, yeah.
Mamacita.
That is definitely the sick burn of the episode.
Shit.
Absolutely, it was. Fergus would be so proud.
Mamacita, played by Victoria Laporia. I did not make that up.
That's a great name, too.
It's an amazing name.
I had to dig for that one, too. Anyway, after that, let's let the smoke die down from that sick burn. Because it was real burning.
I need to put some ice on that burn.
Yeah. And then Claire looks down at the beginning of this and realizes that somebody has put Queen Helene's mint julep mask all over her legs. And Mamacita, or is it Father Fogden, tells her that the reason why she's tied down is to stop herself from scratching her legs.
Oh.
That was why they tied her up.
I'm glad they took so long to tell her that.
Sure, yeah, it did. It took a minute. It took a minute.
Especially with Coco there.
And she's like, that's great. Untie me.
Great. Okay, can somebody please take us off now?
Yeah.
But her legs do seem improved once she gets the mint julep mask off of them.
And then they take her out to the veranda or whatever it is in a little kind of beautiful jungle hideaway where Mamacita has poured her a hot ass bath in the jungle. And it's like, yeah, I bet that bath feels real good. And I think Mamacita actually says you stink to her.
Before she takes the bath, after she dismisses that this cow can't fit into her daughter's clothes, Mamacita smells her and says, you stink. And she goes and pours her a bath.
So Claire settles in.
Get another long look at Claire's two rings as she settles into a tub and both her hands are up. And it's like, there's lots of shots of both of the rings.
Thinking about 1968 right now.
Yeah.
Kind of missing it.
A little bit, yeah.
I miss cars.
And then she looks up in her Paradise Jungle bath and sees the very creepy bleached skull of a ram or a male goat. And it's just like picked clean and very white and weird. And the music does a little so we know that she's feeling a little creeped out by Coco, Father Fogden, this whole situation. Something is not right. Then we get Father Fogden's backstory. He was a priest. He fell in love with a married woman. That was Ermina Hilda. I don't know. And Ermina Hilda her mother is Mamacita, the woman that's there with him.
Oh.
The daughter was in Cuba, I think they said. He said that he was preaching in Cuba. She was there. She was married. They fell in love and took off together. But she died either at the very tail end of the journey or on the journey.
Oh, that sucks.
But he has been there with Mamacita. And this whole conversation happens over dinner.
Yeah. When Mamacita made some like kind of gross looking stew.
And nobody, there are many nervous making moments, but the fact that neither of them touched their dinner, they're both staring at Claire waiting for her to eat first. No. I was like, that. No. That's a bad sign. It's never. Yeah,
you wait for them to eat first.
Yeah, but no, she has good manners. She takes a bite and declares it delicious. But one of the fun things about this whole thing is that Mamacita, who can't speak more than a few words of English, is just watching Claire and Father Fogden have this conversation
and not liking it.
Not liking any bit of it.
No me gusta, says Mamacita.
No.
So we hear the story of her daughter, and then I just wrote, something is wrong here. We're way past that, Julie.
Yeah.
We are way past that. Like, we are in, you know what it made me think of? Have you ever seen the director's cut of Apocalypse Now, where he goes to that weird colonial home back in the jungle where the people have no idea what's going on? They're just French people who live in the jungle as if it's still Indochine, and they have like all this opulent home and all these Vietnamese servants. It felt like that, but in Apocalypse Now, all the people are hopheads. They're all doped up on opium. So it does make a little bit of sense because Father smokes a lot, is just stoned on Yuba the whole time.
Well, this is what happens at a certain point at the dinner once he feels comfortable. He asks Claire if she'd like to join me, takes a pipe out. And
he takes 2 bites of food and then is like, smoke some?
And this guy, hats off to Nick Fletcher, who gives a really, really visually satisfying puff on that pipe.
He's really good at it.
Like, the smoke comes, it's very cinematic and lovely.
Methinks Nick Fletcher knows his way around a bong.
He's enjoyed that a few times.
The casting for this character just got much more interesting. Hey, so you're going to talk to a cocoa nut, and no one else can hear it, and
you're high all the time.
We need you to be high and smoke on the side.
And a priest who married a woman who was already married. So, like, you're an iconoclast all the way around, Father.
And now you're living with your mother-in-law?
Yeah, in the jungle with a whole bunch of goats and a talking coconut.
Jesus, that's like fucking a dream. That must be my type, because I'm just looking at that going, I want it.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. All right.
Jeez.
Claire is talking, she gets some more information about exactly where they are, and that it's like a day's walk to basically a harbor.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I've got to go.
Yeah, and then from there, it's like 2 days sail to Jamaica. She's still thinking, I got to get to Jamie as fast as I can before he finds out that they know who he is.
And Father smokes a lot, takes a break from puffing and goes, wait a minute. You can't leave yet. You need to rest up for at least 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And she's like, once again, I'm a doctor. And he's like, and then Mamacita has had enough. And she says, in Spanish, that whore must go.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, no, she's fine.
We have done our Catholic duty, I believe is translated with it. We fed her. We got her back together. Yeah. I washed her fucking clothes with that weird-ass toothy thing on it. I don't know what that is. She's a witch.
Yeah.
Get her the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And he's Father Fogden's trying that nicely in his mellow stoner hippie priest vibe to explain to Claire that Mamacita's just concerned that he's trying to replace his wife with Claire.
Right.
And then he's forgotten the daughter's memory, which he would never do. He loved her so much.
Right.
I think Mamacita's on our side. Fuck yeah.
Mamacita's like, get her out of here.
Yeah.
And Claire keeps saying, I could make it to Jamaica in 2 days. Make it to Jamaica. Make it to Jamaica. I keep hearing that and I'm like, fucking Outlander, why do you make me think of Jimmy Buffett right now?
Yeah, I know.
Every time I hear the phrase "make it to Jamaica," it's like some fucking cheeseburger in paradise shit. No, but it sounds like it would be.
Listen away again and make it to
Jamaicaville. But I was like, I'm confused by that. Okay, fine. So she goes back to her quarters or whatever they are and finds all of her clothes, including the bat suit and the zippered corset, all neatly laundered and folded, i.e. put them on and go.
Indeed.
Fuck yeah.
Get the hell out. So she's convinced the father that he says, I need to go with you to help you find it. He's like, I will go with you, but I won't go for 2 weeks. It's like, no, we need to go tomorrow. He's like, well, we'll see. We'll see how we are tomorrow. So no. The next morning, Claire has an inspired notion.
She has a really good idea.
Which is Father Fogden is approaching her room. There's a curtain.
Yeah.
He's approaching the curtain.
Put a pin in that. I've got a question to come back to later.
Okay.
Move on. Go ahead.
Okay. Approaching the curtain, and we hear her say, thank you so much for your concern. I am feeling better. And she's talking to the coconut.
Fuck yeah.
She's like, no, I think that I will be fine. I think that the father's graciously agreed to go with me, so I think that I'll be fine. I thank you so much for your concern. I didn't see you there. I was just talking to Coco, and Claire sells the fuck out of her conversation with Coco.
Talking to the coconut.
She really does.
And Father Smokes a Lot is buying.
Yeah, Father Smokes a Lot is so pleased.
He's like, oh, thank God. Coco was so lonely.
Mamacita never talks to Coco. You can just tell that in his mind he's like, I have begged Mamacita to talk to Coco, and she won't do it.
And it's just those two, and that's probably a conversation I have a lot.
However, then here's where we get another
tonal shift.
That is a little
tonal shift.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so does Mamacita come running in with it? And she's visibly upset. She is holding the decapitated,
we hear screaming,
and skinned head of a goat. It is bright red because the skin is gone. You can see its neck bone hanging out the back. Its eyeballs are there and wide open. So somebody has killed one of the goats and skinned it. And she is trying to explain to Father Smokes a Lot, hey man, there's somebody out in our woods. I think it was a Chinaman, which she says, and I shake my head, but of course she does.
yeah.
However, that word gets repeated by Father Fondant to Claire, and Claire picks
says,
up on...
Etencho.
Hey, Etencho.
And she's like, wait, take me there. Take me. Where was it? Where was it?
But before we do that, we get a little insight into how saw that ram skull that was so perfect and white and pure, which is that...
I forgot to take my pen out of my question.
Okay.
Why does Father Smokes a Lot leave Coco in the guest quarters? Is it Coco's room?
Oh, no wonder Mamacita was upset. He put Claire in Coco's room.
Well, Mamacita doesn't give a shit, does she?
I don't know, but I do want to know why you would leave your best friend in a room with a stranger.
Oh, was Coco watching over? Was Coco spying
Maybe
on
Coco
Claire?
was the spy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
What if Coco was like that weird security system in someone's house?
Maybe that's not Coco's
Nanny
permanent...
cam.
Yeah, exactly. That's not Coco's permanent place. It was, we don't know who this woman is. We don't trust. Mamacita definitely doesn't trust her, but we've got to do it. Coco, you watch over her.
Coco's on the paper.
And Coco went...
All right, so pin out of that question. Okay. Then the father is very visibly upset because very clearly he has a relationship with these goats. I don't know what it is.
This particular goat
just the phrasing
named Arabella.
Arabella, my dear Arabella.
A genuinely beautiful name.
But also, beautiful name.
Just questions.
But it's hard for you to appreciate the beauty of that name when you're looking at a bright red bleeding goat head.
It's really rough.
And he lays it on this little, altar.
And then reaches back into this kind of weird cabinet and comes out with a jar, which I have 50 questions about.
I have many questions as well.
He opens up the jar and turns it upside down over the goat head, and out come this mass of scarab beetles or something that just start
eating the flesh off
the flesh.
Oh, whoa.
And he starts saying some sort of prayer or chant, and that's when he says something about the fact that some Chinaman killed you. And that's when Claire's like, what did you say, Chinaman? Where? And Claire's immediately like, where? Where was he? Where? And Mamacita, who doesn't speak very much English, but still gets the sense that Claire wants to get the fuck out immediately. Goes, there! That way! Go!
A la izquierda, whore.
Yeah.
But he says something about Abundaway. So does she ask him where he got these demon bugs?
I think so. And then he says, I got them from this sacred cave called Abundaway, which
we
couple episodes back,
Margaret fortune teller, what's her name?
Yeah, when Claire went to the fortune teller, she said, you will meet your end in Abundaway. So Claire hears Abundaway. He's like, it's a cave. It's on Jamaica. It's a magical place.
And it obviously is magical because these bugs that came from it are 100% living in a jar with no holes poked in the lid.
Yes, and they looked like something that would attack you in a pyramid when you open the wrong tomb.
Well, scarabs.
Yeah.
I mean, technically,
it looks like the
bugs
bugs
aren't real anymore, right?
They
They're
got
dead.
buried in. Well, these probably weren't scarabs. They kind of look like fat fucking carpenter ants. They were just really big and mean and swarmy. And
I don't know, after they eat the goat, did they just all climb back in that jar?
Yeah, does he just put the jar down and they all just like march back in there and he puts the lid back on with no air holes?
Wait a second. Is Outlander a section of Universal's Darkness universe with the Mummy and Dracula and all that jazz?
Now I have so many more questions.
I don't know how these bugs are alive or if they are alive or if they are demon bugs. I'm going to say demon bugs.
Undead demon bugs.
Undead demon bugs.
Undead demon bugs. I'm into it.
Yeah. So obviously
that shit.
They do their job. Claire runs away towards the Chinaman. She runs through the forest, and then we cut to the cast, the crew from the Artemis. There was a problem with the Artemis. It didn't wreck, but the mast broke.
Yes, the mast broke. So anyway, Claire's obviously has recovered nicely because she runs full out. Like, basically, the same distance that she traveled before. But in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. And she runs back, and she ran over the path that she made for herself. Okay, that's going to be the way I justify this.
That's fine.
Or it might be on the other side of the island. They might be closer to the other side.
But before she leaves the house, that she does commit one act of theft that ends up coming back and being important. Which is, she steals a mirror. A little tiny pocket mirror. For no reason. Except plot.
There is a very lingering close-up of her stealing this tiny mirror.
For no reason.
Maybe she felt like since she hadn't been able to look in a mirror for several weeks that maybe she would just like to look at herself for a second.
We all have a certain amount of vanity. I don't know.
Or maybe she finally became a good time traveler and went, oh, mirrors are fucking hard to get. I'll fucking take that shit.
This goes in the back bag.
Little tiny pocket mirror, and yes, this will come back shortly.
Fuck.
Like right away, actually. So we cut to the beach of this island, and the crew of the Artemis is there fixing the mast. I guess that some of them, there was a shipwreck, I guess, sort of, because they talk about the captain being dead. And some of the people died off of the Artemis.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Jamie's there.
Oh, gosh.
Jamie is there on the beach. Etienne Shaw is there on the beach. The two stooges from Ardsmuir Prison that we can never remember their names.
Leslie and
Fergus.
Leslie and Hayes.
Leslie and Hayes.
And Fergus.
Ooh, I'm getting good at this.
Marsley is there too, right?
Oh, no, we have to call her Parsley now.
No, we can't.
No one wants to call her
Allison already disallowed
but I think it works so well.
No, but it does help me remember how to say your name. So they're all there on the beach putting the mask back together, and Jamie's kind of having a conversation. I can't remember if it's with Fergus or with Gianfredo or whatever the Italian dude's name is about. You know, it was sad that they all died, but we can't really spend our time thinking about them. We honor their memory and we move ahead. And it's like, okay, exposition, you're done. A lot of people died on that boat.
Yeah.
Everything moves very fast through this section. You see, it's like, so you take 20 minutes of survivalist Barbie, and then everything in this last act happens at like rapid fire pace. And that's when you realize that they were writing the script and really took their time, and then realized the clock was ticking and they had to get to the boning.
So,
God damn it, good to bring back.
It is indeed.
Yeah. They repair the mast and head back out to the ship. This is while Claire is running towards them. They make it to the ship and start to sail the fuck away. Claire clears the edge of the jungle, sees the Artemis starting to leave, and it's like, Jamie! Like he can fucking hear her. But then she's like, oh wait, I have a fucking mirror.
Yeah, I do.
Womp womp. She pulls it out. Luckily, it's a sunshiny day.
Oh, yeah.
And he's standing great, looking back towards the island. That's lucky.
Yeah, seriously.
The light kind of hits his pecs because who wouldn't?
It was a very Tinkerbell moment.
Yeah. And then
in Peter Pan, Tinkerbell is just the sound of a bell and a light that flickers around the stage, very much like you would get from the reflection mirror. That's
right.
In the stage play, because she's supposed to be teeny tiny, all you see is this light that flickers around. That's Tinkerbell. So it was all of a sudden this light's bouncing around Jamie's broad
and then
chest.
on his forehead, and then right in his eye. And he turns around and sees, and he's like,
give me a spyglass.
And he turns around and he just yanks it out of the Italian dude's hands, like, boom. And then he sees his wife on the coast with a mirror, and he's like, whoa! And so they go back and say Claire.
Yes, they jump, they run, they have an embrace on the sand.
And I'm like,
lots of making out.
I'm like, this is like From Here to Eternity, but somehow not as hot.
We did miss something though, which is that when Claire was running to the beach, she gashed her arm on a tree branch, like a really, really bloody gash.
Cut the fuck out of her upper bicep.
She has a bandage on it. Mm-hmm. She gives Jamie a big one-armed hug when they finally see each other, and then the two, Leslie and Hayes. I don't know which one of them had the line, but I appreciated the line. It reminded me of, oddly enough, the moment in The Matrix where somebody said about Keanu Reeves' savior character, "Not too bright though." I'm like, thank you for just acknowledging the thing we were all thinking, which is one of them says, "McDo's wife turns up in the most unlikely places." It's like, yes.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it out loud. Appreciate that. This is all happening while Chen Cho is stitching up the gash on Claire's arm.
Because that guy's a badass.
Damn right. And she is explaining, they're telling her about all the things that happened on Artemis and the captain dying, a little bit of that. We're catching the tail end of it. She's explaining how she found them because of him killing the goat.
And Jamie talks about the Cream de Menthe guy being found, or like, how does that flashback come back?
Oh yeah, well the reason that there's a warrant out now, a new warrant out for Jamie, because he served his time for the other, is that
they found that dead guy's body.
They found the guy in the barrel of creme de menthe, and that's when E.T. and Cho said, "We should have chopped him up."
I told you we should have chopped him up, and I was like, E.T. and Cho's right about E.T. and Cho being right.
Yeah, he is. But Jamie's saying, "We'll deal with that later. We're going to deal with that later." You know what? This has been
a very trying time. It's been very hard for us all. Can we not find a moment of joy? And I'm like, yes, do it. No? Okay.
Well, later, but first, let's get Fergus and Marsley married.
Right, but first, if we're going to do that, we have to make friends with Father Smokes-a-Lot, and you just ate Arabella, so what are you going to do? You're going to send E.T. and Cho over there with a chicken.
He's going to apologize. For not appreciating how beautiful the goat was.
Like, very beautifully.
Father fogged in a chicken. And become friends in the time-honored way that all people become friends, which is get high with weed.
I'm gonna give an oh shit just so we drink to that. Fuck yeah.
So he hands him the chicken, and Father Smokes-a-Lot is all like, "Man, that was very beautiful. Would you like to smoke some Yuba?" And E.T. and Cho's like, I would. And then they get high.
The two of them just start passing the pipe back and forth, and then we get the wedding of Fergus and Marsley.
But first, we have the lady scene where Claire is helping Marsley get prepared, and they have the hashtag women's secret chat.
Yes, indeed.
Which is that Marsley is like, she calls her a wise woman or something, which is just another word for a wetch. And she says, I've often, maybe you're not as bad as I thought you were, whatever. I've just often wondered, and I think you might know this, is there any way I can keep from having a child? So it's like, how do I do birth control now?
Yeah. She's like, you don't want a child? She's like, no, someday.
But you know what? We're young.
But not right
now. I would like to travel and fuck for a long time before I have a kid.
What a goddamn good fucking scene and conversation.
Right, yes.
Fuck yeah.
And actually, when we're done talking about this, I'll talk about the in the books moment of this, because the book conversation is very different than the conversation that they have in an important way.
But Claire just kind of says, yes, there are always, but then doesn't say anything.
Well, Marsley says that she wants to know if there's a way that she can do it, but also, do birth control, but also that, we'll still allow her. She's kind of asking her because also you seem like you like sex with Jamie.
So how does that work?
Yeah.
Because whenever my mother
and Jamie were near each other,
she would run away, or
Mom clearly didn't dig.
Oh.
She didn't like it. Yeah. So I need to know. So it's obvious that you like it. What is it that you like?
And she's like, she's like, everything will be fine. I will show you how to do this so you don't get the babies. It'll be fine. And then I actually like the version that they did in the show, even though the book had an interesting little logic to it, which is that Marsley took her query to Claire a step further in her logic, which is, my mother had many children and didn't enjoy sex. You have no children and seem to enjoy sex. Therefore, you can't have children and enjoy sex.
Oh.
How do I stop the children?
Oh,
yeah,
that was where Marcy was coming from, and Claire told her in the book, well, I have had children actually.
Yeah.
So it's not that. You can have both. But I will still teach you the birth control and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But I very much appreciated that instead this was a very sex positive Marsley conversation of, I just really want to enjoy some sex with Fergus on the high seas without a baby.
Doy.
Well, and also just, from hearing this, it's an interesting conversation to have because it's like, she made that in the books. It sounds like she made a very like causal relationship to say, oh, having kids makes sex suck. Yeah. Or that if I have sex at all, I will always have a child. Yeah. So like there must be something in the middle of that. That is, as you're saying, I think that's a great.
I was impressed by Marsley in this moment and cannot wait to see more of her.
And I also thought that it reminded me a lot of the conversation that Claire had with Leary back in the day, where Leary came to her asking for advice. Marsley, I think that daughter is cast so well. Mm-hmm. She is so Leary's daughter, who learned a few things from watching Mom. Yeah, but Claire definitely, you could see in the moment where she's like, I have lied to your mother, and that didn't work out well for me. I should just lay it out there.
I should just be honest.
Yeah. So everybody's growing and learning is what I'm saying, and it's lovely.
So then we cut to outside, and Father smokes a lot, like he's still smoking. Mm-hmm. And now it's time for him to marry Fergus and Marsley. And you can't, because he is a Catholic quote unquote priest, he can't marry people that don't have a full name with a surname. So he gets like Marsley's full 3-name, and then Fergus is all like, Fergus. And that's all he's got. And the priest is like, I can't marry you without a surname. And then Jamie, after being such a fucking dick last episode, steps up and says, Fraser.
Fucking A, I got goosebumps.
And Fergus looks like he is gonna fucking cry. Claire and Jamie are looking at him from the side.
And you realize that he has been, Claire hasn't been around for the majority of the time, but he has been with Jamie for 20 years.
That's his kid.
Yeah, so it's 100% his kid.
Fuck yeah.
So his name is Fergus Claudel Fraser.
Mm-hmm. But you skipped over...
No, the cock part comes after that.
Cock?
No, it comes before.
Does it come before that?
Yes, because...
Fucking smokes a lot, can't keep it in it. He's crazy.
He says, I'm here to marry this young lady to this man, and he points to the guy standing next to Fergus. And when they're like, no, and the guy goes, no, he's married. He's like, he's only got one hand. I guess, you can't, I guess it doesn't matter as long as he's got a working cock. And he looks at Marcy and goes, does he?
Marcy's like, I wouldn't know yet. Speed it up.
No, she actually says, well, I could find out if you'd hurry up.
Yeah. Oh, that is great.
Oh, so Father smokes a lot, also talks about cock a lot, because he says it like 4 times in a row.
He makes various references to Fergus's cock over and over again. It's really, really delightful. And Fergus takes it very much in stride, not as in stride as Marsley does, who's just like, hurry it up.
I would like to see it. I would like to see it.
Yeah, she lets Father Fogg it off like halfway through the vows. He's slowly going to love and to cherish. And I take it. Let's speed it up. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. And then they're married, and then they have a very beautiful kiss, and it's very hot. Like you can tell they're about to just go bone like crazy once upon this island.
Hey.
And then, we're back on the Artemis, and my question is, where the fuck is my strong sexual content? Guess what? That question is about to be answered.
It's about to be answered in a lot of ways. So,
Claire is drunk as fuck, and we don't really know why. Jamie is like, you're burning up. So she's obviously got an infection from that huge gash wound that she got. Uh-huh. And she just kind of smiles and is like drunkenly reaches over to her medical roll. She's so funny. And she pulls out a thing of penicillin and a needle, and she needles it with one hand. I called it a one-hand needling. Boom. She puts it together. And then she looks at Jamie like, pretty good, huh? And then she can't quite get the needle into the bottle of penicillin. She can't figure it out. So she's like, you do it. You saw me do it before. And he's all like, clumsy bull in a china shop trying to figure this out. And then she's like, all right. And she pulls up her nightgown and is like, now you get your revenge. Just stab me right here. And he's like, I can't do it. He couldn't do it.
So she does herself in the thigh.
So she instead is like, boom! Oh, she gives herself some penicillin. And then she goes back to eating.
Eating this delicious soup, which Etienne Cho made, which is
turtle soup.
Hey.
In which he apparently dumped a whole bottle of sherry.
Which explains why she's drunk. Probably also a little bit fever crazy, too, from the infection.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But and then she starts getting all horny on Jamie.
Because turtle soup is a famous aphrodisiac.
And Jamie's like, you've got a fever. No.
Yeah,
and she's like, I'm going to be fine. But let's do this.
Yeah, he's saying, basically removing his guilt. No, couldn't possibly take advantage of a feverish, drunken woman. And then
she's like, bolt the door. And I'm like, you got it.
And they do. And I think this is the first time we've actually seen Jamie do what he tried to do in the wedding, which is turn Claire around and give it to her from behind.
And
we get full Cornish game hen. But it's hot, but it's brief. It's it's very mercurial and like, boom, we're doing this. And then we hear on the door, and it is Etienne Cho asking if they like the soup. Claire's all like, yes. And Jamie's like, shut up. He's like, yes.
Does the lady want some more? Yes, I do.
Yes, I
do. Totally knows they're boning. Totally prolongs the conversation to stand and listen to the boning longer.
Because
with a wicked ass grin on his face.
He's a creepy dude.
No. It felt more like if I'm not getting any, at least they are.
That's fair.
It was a little bit more like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then smile, nod, leave the frame. Then the episode is over.
I mean, for this character though, like they've done a good job not portraying him as a
weirdo,
and as a racial stereotype, but also that the character does have those quirks to him. So I would say that I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I think that that speech he made on the Artemis the speech that brought the wind back when he talked about the fact that he gave up everything because he refused to stop being a sexual creature.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a person.
He has his things.
Yeah, and there is, there is something delightful about the sound of good sex happening in the next room. There is something a little bit like, good on you.
You guys, I'm stuck thinking about that beautiful turtle at the beginning of the episode, though. It's dead now.
I've been at those land parties.
Yeah. Have either one of you ever had turtle soup?
Yes, I have.
I actually have not.
I've only ever had mock turtle soup, but I will tell you one thing that I know about turtles that I bet you don't know. They bleed red.
That doesn't surprise me.
It surprised the fuck out of me. Saw it on Iron Chef several years ago, the Japanese version, and turtle was one of the ingredients, and you got to watch these Japanese chefs take live turtles and butcher them, and it was upsetting because it's not something that you're used to seeing, so you don't really know how it goes, and they bleed a lot.
Well, I mean,
it was rough.
Bleeding the red thing, I mean, I don't know of an animal that doesn't bleed red. Because it's the oxygen that gets into your...
horseshoe crabs.
Fair.
They bleed blue.
But they're prehistoric.
Yeah, they're not turtles. That's for sure.
And then also, that makes sense. They bleed a lot because, I mean, literally, they are a box of fucking flesh.
They're just a little box of skin
that's holding
in some organs
inside of a fucking shell. There's a reason why Galapagos turtles were thought of as the long distance snack, where they would grab those guys off the Galapagos for ships and then put them on their backs. They'd feed them some lettuce every now and then, but then we're like, okay, well, time to eat some meat.
Yeah. That makes me sad. All right, so we did get some hot ass doing it.
We did
at the very end.
And this was another. I didn't remember this, but Allison again gave me this in the books. Apparently, in the books, Jamie fucks the fever out of Claire. That actually, when she climaxes, her fever breaks.
Oh my god!
What a fucking...
I don't think that that's actually how it works, but
okay,
whatever.
I'm gonna believe it.
The sex was hot, and so was she.
Listen,
temperature-wise.
When I get into a serious relationship and that person is feverish, I'm going to call back to Outlander.
Yeah, you let us know.
You know what? If I have a fever,
she's probably going to kick my ass.
if I have a fever, I'm going to be like, don't
Kick my ass for
fucking touch
that.
me. We can't both be sick at the same time. Of course, I know that this is an infection, so he wouldn't get it. But, like, why would I be running a fever now? Be like, Neil, you sleep in the summer home tonight. That's what we call the front room.
Yeah.
You sleep on the futon, bitch. I'm going to sweat this fever out, and not with your dick and fucking up inside.
Well, now maybe you've learned a valuable piece of information. Maybe next time.
Just not feeling it. It's not quite as bad as having a python crawl across your chest, but it's still a nope for me. Nope. So after the episode, we go into the Inside the World episode, and we found out that this episode was going to be called Turtle Soup. But then they decided not to do that because obviously they knew that it would be a huge tip off to all the book readers about what happens in this storyline. And so they decided not to do it, and instead they called it Uncharted for the territory that happens here, both physical and mental. Father smokes a lot.
Mamacita dealing with that shit.
This was my favorite thing. Claire taking the conversation to Coco was an adaptive choice that was not in the book.
Oh.
And I thought it was a brilliant moment.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but get up here, you stupid. Come on.
Go up here?
It was weird, but funny and appropriate. Like, it felt like it was the only thing that she could do to convince Father Smokes a Lot that she was on the level. And I thought that it was a good idea.
How'd they manage it in the books?
I just think she just left. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she was still
it.
trying to convince him to go to help her.
When the sheep head showed up.
Yes, and all of that happened.
But it's a goat head, obviously, and that was the other thing. In the book, they were sheeps, not goats. But they couldn't find any in South Africa, so they had to go with goats. Which I think actually was more interesting because there's just something about a skinned goat head.
Yeah, it was really disturbing.
I mean, a sheep head probably wouldn't be much better, but goats have those, I don't know, goats. Like
Is it the horns that mess you up?
This one didn't have horns. This was a female goat.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it looked like ritualistic and kind of scary.
It was definitely creepy. But I agree. I think that was a great adaptive choice that they made. Yeah, I think they made a couple of really smart adaptive choices in this episode. Again, like the Claire Marsley conversation, I thought that was a nice choice. Also, apparently there was a whole section of a pirate attack that got cut out. The gash on the arm
came from a pirate.
Oh.
Not from a branch.
Yes.
I like it from the branch better.
Me too.
Yes.
Because otherwise
I don't need a pirate fight.
It was a swashbuckling incident.
Listen, we've had enough Pirates of the Caribbean at this point.
I surely don't need a pirate attack.
We've had one too many. Actually, we had, how many have they been made?
4, I think.
We've had 3 too many.
Yeah, there's been at least 3 episodes on the boat. All right, so I think that's about it for the regular episode. So now I have to do the stuff that Allison does, and I am not good at this. So she sent me an email to remind me how to do it. So first of all, I want to thank all of our Patreon patrons. Every single last motherfucking one of you.
Wait, aren't we supposed to do scales first?
Oh, yeah.
Scales and the Golden Pamble
I'm
Moose.
so sorry, Patreon.
No, we're coming back to you.
Okay.
All right, so
we'll get back to
scales.
you. Scales.
Doing it scales. Let's say from... I'm trying to think of creepy island movies. From the island of Dr. Moreau.
To the island?
To the island. Oh, wait. I can get hotter.
Oh, yeah, to it.
From the island of Dr. Moreau to Return from the Blue Lagoon.
I was going to say Return from the Blue Lagoon.
Okay, well, then you got it.
Yes.
You say yours. That's your answer.
That was going to be my answer, was Return from the Blue Lagoon.
Side note. One time I took a driver's license photo when I lived in Portland, and I was wearing this tank top with very thin spaghetti straps, and my hair was down. I used to have really long hair, so you couldn't see them, and I was wearing a puka shell necklace, so it basically looked like I was naked with a puka shell necklace on. And I showed it to Neil when I got it home, and I said, "Doesn't this look like the Blue Lagoon?" And he looked at it and goes, "More like Return to the Blue Lagoon." I was like, shitty ass. Fucking dick bag. All right, so doing it scale. That's really good. All right.
Costume scale?
Costumes. Let's say Terry Dresbach has definitely been doing a little bit of homage to shit like the African Queen.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say the African Queen at just kind of a base level, like she swashbuckling kind of adventure style, to what's something...
County Monte Cristo?
Something. No, I want it to be female. I want it to be like a okay. From the African Queen to oh God, what's the Australian drag queen movie?
Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
Yes, Priscilla Queen of the Desert. Yes.
Oh my. Well,
I know that is a vast range.
It is a really
so
big
please
range.
just jump on something.
Okay. Let's see. I would say I don't know. Because now all I can picture is The African Queen, which was my favorite movie when I was a very, very small child.
It's a good movie.
It was a weird choice for like a 4-year-old, but apparently... I wandered in while my parents were watching it and saw the hippos, and I just asked them to keep replaying it over and over again because I was fascinated by the hippos, and I would just sit in front of the TV going...
Do it again.
That was great. Oh my God.
That's really
good. Anyone has a hippo impression. That was really good.
That's really good.
Oh, that's great. And then getting up in beer. You had one moment.
I had at least one, so I'm gonna go. The low end would be The Mission, and the high end would be The Most Dangerous Game.
Oh,
yeah, it's another good island movie.
It is a good island movie. Good themed.
Thanks, man.
Scales. Fuck yeah.
Once I hit Island of Dr. Moreau earlier, I was like, I can do this.
So,
what do you think?
Well, I would. I think I would go with I don't remember what the name of it was, but the Agatha Christie, and then there were none. If whatever that. Yeah, where it's the 10 people who are all slowly killed off.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So maybe between like 10 and 7, you could go get beer.
Exactly.
But once you get below 5, you're
exactly
stuck there.
Like it's at a certain point, it's like you don't like all 10 of these characters. When you're watching the death scene of the one that annoys you, you're like, I'm gonna go get him.
Yeah.
Peace, brothers.
But in the last section, when it's just the last few deaths and the murder is about to be revealed, you're not going anywhere.
No.
I mean, that's
just like at the end of this episode. As soon as you see Claire's got a little tipsy. You're like, finally.
She's like, strong sexual
content is coming.
That
No
snake on her chest was not what that meant to be.
No, that was foreshadowing, sir.
All right. So, and then we forgot the golden pamplemousse, and by we, I mean me.
Yeah, the golden pamplemousse.
The golden pamplemousse. Jen, who is your golden pamplemousse?
Well, not just because her real name is Victoria Laporia, but that certainly helps. I'm going to give it to Mamacita because I thought Mamacita... her performance was mostly reactions and just quietly observing, and I thought she nailed it. I thought she was awesome.
I really liked her too, and I'm sad. It feels like we won't see her again. I'm a little sad about that because she really did give something extra to those scenes.
Yeah,
it does sound like she was on our side too, where like she sounded like she was like being kind of like cold, but also you're like, thank you for helping us get the fuck out of here.
Thank you for moving the plot
I'm
along.
trying to kill you as quickly as possible
Get
and
out
get
of
you
here.
out.
Get the fuck
it's
out.
Like, yes, thank you.
I am going to give mine to Father Smokes a Lot.
Yeah.
Nah, that's fair.
Nick Fletcher, you played a stoner really well, and possibly a crazy and definitely a very lonely stoner. But I enjoyed your performance, and it made me laugh several times, but also creeped me out sometimes. So you walked that fine line very well.
May I do one?
You didn't see the episode.
But I feel like I've seen Twitter in our Slack channel.
All right. Yes.
Coco.
You're not alone. Alana, the breastfeeding mom, is that how you say her name?
Yes.
She voted for Wilson the coconut for the golden pamplemousse today.
I saw that earlier, and I saw that earlier when I was having my coffee and biscuit because I wake up late in the day, and I went, "What the fuck just happened?" Like I love Tom Hanks, but he's not in Outlander.
Allison's vote for the golden pamplemousse went to Katriona Balf.
Again, she did that last week.
Yeah,
so that's 2 in a row.
Oh wow,
2 in a row.
I mean, she's kicking ass.
But she did do 20 minutes by herself in the jungle.
Yeah,
she did do that.
Yeah,
well, her and a snake and a shit ton of fire ants.
She did have her own mini. You know what? I think she's like going through a weird Tom Hanks process. She had her own, like, she was definitely like in the same kind of situation and like holding her own and keep making it interesting and like interesting. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just like when things align with Tom Hanks.
Who doesn't?
I just like Tom Hanks so much. I go to Tom Hanks Day every year, so it's like a thing.
To anyone who is on our Slack channel, today when we were talking about this episode, I was trying to debate whether or not, when we discussed Coco the coconut, whether or not I should bring Coco Montrese, the drag queen, into this. And the vote was overwhelmingly yes. So I'm going to use Allison's quote because it really sums up what Coco Montrese is all about. And it is this: "Bitch, I am not joking, bitch." So
that was beautiful.
You guys look up Coco Montrese.
That's pretty much what Coco was saying the entire episode.
Yes. Coco did get saucy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So.
Okay.
There we go. We did the scales. We did the golden paper moose. And now I would like to thank all of our Patreon patrons, every last one of you, but most especially Dr. J, Lori McGuire, Yvonne Kaiser, Ann Gavin, Katie Kirshner, Amanda Newton, Beth Locke, Kelly Sheehan, Jessica Dobrovich, Aaron Yetzi, Molly Layton, Heather Moore, Ruth McCormick, Trish McCrary, Kara Marlowe, Catherine Galindo, Kiki the Wise, Flourish Root, Friday Payton, Jen Lander Drunkland, and Kathleen Moniz.
Hi, Mom.
All the other stuff we do is Facebook.com/PodlanderCast, Twitter @PodlanderCast, and for me @Julie Starby, for Janine @Pagel_Aaron, for Jen
@Moniz lives here.
And then if you want to check out our Patreon page, it's patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast. Please leave us a review on iTunes. First of all, we fucking get off on reading them hard.
We make a group thread and we talk about them for like 3 hours.
We really get into it, and then somehow it helps us. I don't know, algorithms. I was told there would be no math. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much. We will be doing an episode, not an episode of Je suis spoiler, because I'm not a book reader, so I can't really do that. But we will stop now and then record a episode of our new ancillary show. Anyway, Patty. So hope you guys hear that soon. If you're a Patreon patron, you'll hear it sooner than others. Bye.
Bye.